I'm going to Farm Simulator 2023, Glen.
He said, welcome everyone, we're going to talk about Farming Simulator 23.
I suppose.
Yes, I suppose.
All right, everyone. Yeah, nice one. We're going to talk about Farming Simulator 2023 today, which for me is a quite exciting thing. I was a big fan of Clarkson's Farm. We have teamed up with the publisher to talk to you about this one, so thanks to them for sponsoring it, but they could have just asked me, I would have done it.
What's it all about? Well, let's find out.
Alright, so this isn't like your Stardew Valley. You're not rocking up and finding out that your grandpa has died and inherited the farm from him. This is very much a simulation game.
Absolutely, yeah. So this goes very in-depth, or as in-depth as you want it to, really, doesn't it? You start off with a nice little tutorial. There are 2 maps to choose from, and it will give you the basics. It will give you a few of the vehicles that you'll need to get started in building not just a farm, but an enterprise, a business.
Yeah, it's much more of, as Glenn says, a business. So you are managing the entire farm. You can look at the prices of various crops, different ingredient seeds, see how much they're selling for, and it will show you trends as well so that you can decide which things to plant. Now you can change the game time so that it's real time, or it is essentially up to 6 times faster than standard, and it's important to plant at the right times, as we say, so that you can then harvest and sell. Now how does selling work, Glenn?
So basically, once you've harvested your crops or produce, depending on obviously what it is that you are producing, you can then load up your vehicle and make your way to one of the shops that are based around the small town that your farm is set within. So once you've done this, as Mark mentioned just now, you can check the prices to see where you'll get the best price, and then you can make your way there and offload and obviously get your profit.
It's funny because you might look at something like this and think, actually, it's not my style of game, but if you like things like Stardew Valley, this will really appeal to you. You can actually choose the direction your farm goes in, so you could do agricultural, animal husbandry, or forestry, which should be quite self-explanatory. You can focus on having loads of animals and selling their produce, and also using that produce on your farm. You can go out into the forests and gather up all the wood and sell that as well, depending on which season the timbers are more expensive, etc. And obviously the probably most common one will be growing crops to again try and hit those trends and price increases. Now it has to be said that you can do a bit of all of these, can't you, Glenn?
You can, yeah. I'll be honest, I focus mainly on agriculture. I very rarely go near animals in any sort of farm game, or in real life actually, just But obviously, depending on whichever one you choose, or if you want to do a mixture of the 3, you're going to need the right equipment. And this is where your vehicles will come in, and as well as the ones that you start the game with, you can purchase new vehicles. And there are, I think I read, over 100 different vehicles in the game from a number of leading manufacturers. You have JCB, John Deere, Massey Ferguson, a host of others as well.
They streamlined this version for the Switch, so it doesn't feel like it's finicky on the controls. And there's also quite an in-depth AI system, isn't there?
Yes, there is, which I actually really appreciated. I'd only ever played one of these games before. I'm pretty sure that was 17 on the Switch, and this didn't have this feature as far as I can remember. So basically, you have AI workers that will complete tasks for you. So if you are tilling the field, for example, you can either just press a button, I think it's the A button off of the top of my head, and the AI worker will just take over for you, and they do a very good job as well, to be fair. They do a much better job than I did of getting those straight lines. But you can also actually set up routes, and you can get your vans to deliver the produce or whatever it is to the nearby towns, and then make their way back. Yeah,
this version has updated our AI features, like being able to automatically load, unload logs and pallets. These are things that in the past you would have to manually do. Now that's not to say you can't manually do them, you absolutely can, and you might do a few laps of the field and think, do you know what, I want to go do something else, as Glenn says, hit the A button, and then you can go and do exactly that. Or you can get out of the tractor, set the AI worker to business, and just sit back and watch.
Yeah, and it's nice, you can flip between your vehicles just by pressing left or right on the D-pad. And if you have got that automation going and you've got your AI workers doing their jobs, it is quite nice to just flick between and just kind of see the farm come to life. I did spend a lot of my time just doing that, actually.
So with this, you will need a load of extra equipment. You start out with a basic few tractors, few trailers, the equipment you'll need to plant basic crops, things like wheat and corn. But to get to those more advanced crop types and I guess specializations, you'll need to make some purchases. Now, as you can see on the purchase screen, there are, as Glenn said, over 100 different vehicle types. You can scroll through those using the bumper buttons, which is a nice touch. And then by pressing Y, it will give you information. So if, like us, you haven't got Scooby-Doo what half these things do, you can literally press Y and it will tell you. For example, we didn't quite know how to get a baler and you know how that worked, but you can go in here, press the button, and it will show you exactly that.
Yeah, that's one thing I will say, having grown up in London and know nothing about farming. I mean, the most farming I've ever done is farming for XP in like an RPG or something. So although there is a lot to take in, there are help menus, and everything has a, you know, a question mark button that you can press, as Mark was just mentioning, and you will start picking it up, and it does become, you know, you'll start to get that clarity of what you're doing as you play.
So the mapping system's also quite intuitive. You can bring up a mini-map by pressing the L bumper and it comes on the side of the screen, or if you click the stick in, it will go to the overview of the entire town. You can back that out and it will show you each individual business. You can then have a look into what they're buying and selling and use that to help you decide the direction of your farm.
In terms of animals then, we haven't said a huge amount about those. You will start the game with chickens, and they are, I mean, if you leave them alone, they'll just stay there. That, you know, you don't have to do anything with them, but if you feed them, they'll start to produce eggs, and obviously that's a nice, relatively simple way of starting to produce an income. Or you have pigs, sheep, cows that you can purchase as the game goes on.
Now, those crop types will allow you to produce more advanced goods, so you can start to make things like cottons and silks, which will sell for much higher prices and potentially make you much more money. But the intricacies again of making those require different types of machinery, and you'll have to have the land to do it. Now, to expand the farm, you actually have to go out and buy different fields, don't you?
You do, yes. But again, just to clarify that you can kind of just play the game at your own pace completely. If you just want to, you know, plow away and plant some seeds and do that for a while, the game will kind of wait for you. You can just do that and mill about and make a nice bit of profit as you go. But then when you're ready to start expanding your farm, it will be there, and the game will help you, you know, move that bit along. So it's nice that you don't feel pressured into doing those things too early, you know, because it can be quite overwhelming. So you can just play at your own pace, which I really did appreciate.
One last point on the farming front. Now, we said it's relatively simplistic. You can actually increase the detail, things like spreading manure over it. So if you're going to have animals on one side, you can take their fecal matter and spread that over your fields to increase its yield. There are a lot of details here, so if that's something you're looking for, it is still within the game. You don't necessarily have to do that.
Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of the Nintendo Switch versions of Football Manager, a series that I very much enjoy, in that, as we kind of alluded to earlier, they have been streamlined in some respects, but they do still have the absolute massive detail if you want it, and it's, you know, obviously you can access it, and again, as I mentioned a minute ago, just kind of play the game at your own level, really.
From a visual standpoint, it's quite impressive. Now, the game series has used what's known as the Giants engine since its inception, which is a proprietary engine, which has allowed them to do quite a lot with not a great amount of power on the Switch. There's a lot of simulation going on here, the automation of the artificial intelligence. Traffic will move around your vehicle if you're going too slow, which you invariably will be. And I believe in version 22 last year, they added in texture streaming to the engine, which has greatly increased the amount of objects that they can put within the world without the game slowing right down or increasing load times. There are real-time shadows which reflect through the trees. The performance seems to be around 30 FPS. For the most part, it will drop down if there's a lot going on screen, but as we say, it's not a game that you have to worry about quick response times and things like that.
As well as that, there are 4 seasons within the game, and the world will noticeably change as those seasons progress. Obviously, you'll see the leaves fall from the trees or start to change colour.
Absolutely. You've got a day-night cycle as well, which takes place, and if you get tired, you can head home and go to sleep.
You can indeed. Moving on to value then, in terms of the price on the eShop itself, it costs £40.49, or your regional equivalent. Now, in terms of that price, I mean, obviously, it depends how much you're going to get out of the game, because there's certainly enough content in here to keep you busy. If you're going to go deep and try to access all of its features, it could last you a very long while. If you're someone that plays more on a surface level, probably like me, to be fair, and you're happy to not have the life element that you find in farm life games such as Stardew Valley or Story of Seasons, then you can certainly get sucked into this world.
Yeah, I think most people that buy this, you're going to know what you're getting. Hopefully, from what we've said. It's incredibly detailed. There's going to be tons and tons of time that you could spend playing it, and I think that price is okay, and there's a physical available for slightly cheaper.
So there you have it. There's everything you need to know about Farming Simulator 23 Nintendo Switch Edition.
I think it was a right to buy it, Glen.
He says he thinks he's going to go out right now and buy it.
Thanks so much for watching. Remember, we do have our little SwitchUp coins over at switchup.gg. Every time you buy a game, you get SwitchUp coins, which you can redeem at any point to save some money.
A big thank you to our patrons and our channel members, of course, for your continued support, and to each and every one of you for watching our videos. Take care, and until next time, happy gaming.